Welcome to the Blitz podcast. I am here with Bryan Cameron from Philadelphia Sports Network, and this is episode number 8. And I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are on this Eagles squad for this year. And welcome.
Well, I'm glad to be here, Alex. Thank you for having me on. I know it's been a long time coming. So for my thoughts on this Eagles team right now is it's exciting. You're seeing a team that's full of chemistry right now, a team that's full of energy. We finally have probably one of the younger groups that we've had in close to almost a decade. AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts. I mean, Devontae Smith. You can't have a better arsenal than we have right now. And so, but at this point, it's all about delivering the product on the field.
What were your thoughts on what Nick Sirianni said during the pre-training camp press conferences?
It was good. I mean, the positivity that he's entering into this season with is tremendous. I know he mentioned that Jalen Hurts has also made great strides. It's exciting to see, what's going to actually pan out for this season again. I'm really personally excited to see what's going to happen. My apologies. What's going to happen with this defense? I think that's the most important ingredient right now because you have a lot of moving pieces on that defense. So to see what like I say, to see what the product on the field is going to look like is fascinating at this point for an Eagles fan.
Which rookie as of now most stood out to you?
Right now it's going to be Jordan Davis, just because I know a lot of people were down on him just for the fact that they felt like he didn't play all three downs in college. So, excuse me, did I cut off or no?
No.
Okay, cool. So I know a lot of people were concerned because he didn't play all three downs in college. So now to see what the Eagles are going to do with him, they see him as more of a replacement for Fletcher Cox going forward, and the guy is huge. And when you talk about a kid that has, at least to me, potential to be as good as as an Aaron Donald, as good as a Fletcher Cox, as good as a Chris Jones, a true disruptor. And then with the linebacker core that we have behind him right now, with Kobe Dean, with T.J. Edwards, Kaiser White, even Davion Taylor, I'm curious to see how everything's going to pan out.
Mm-hmm. What are your expectations on how Jalen Hurts will perform?
So Jalen Hurts, I personally think in the history of the NFL, second year quarterbacks always reach that next level, right? You see with Carson Wentz from 2016 to 2017. You saw with Kyler Murray. You saw with so many quarterbacks of this age. Jalen Hurts, though, I don't think he's going to be that phenomenal in his second year, just because I think it's more of a longer process with him. But I think he's gonna wow the team enough to be like, okay, like this is the guy we're gonna build with going forward. In my opinion, the Eagles don't really need an elite franchise quarterback. They need a quarterback that's gonna be good enough. And Jalen Hurts is more than just good enough. He can definitely manage the field. He can definitely be a playmaker. And the great thing about him is that when he uses his legs, he's extending plays. We tried to have that with Carson Wentz and it didn't work out. We didn't have that with Nick Foles. So last time we really had it was Donovan McNabb. So to see Jalen Hurts kind of take that torch and actually be that guy going forward, I'm excited to see that. I think he's going to have a good year. Personally, I think he's going to probably throw close to 30 touchdowns with a lot fewer interceptions this time around. I think under 10 is his expectations for me. But I'm curious to see how they use his running ability now that they have AJ Brown, now that they have Zach Pascal, Devontae Smith, I think, players of that sort.
What are your thoughts on the schedule for this year?
So they have the third or fourth easiest schedule, I think it is. It's the Cowboys, the Commanders, and Eagles, and then the Giants. Obviously, ironically, the NFCs. I think they're gonna do really good. I know they have a tough stretch against the Packers and the Titans, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't really looked too in depth into the schedule. But I think for the most part, they're really going to hold their own. Again, it's going to be a defense. It's going to be about the defense. If the defense can really, stand up to all these pass-friendly offenses, then the Eagles are going to be well conditioned to make a run in the playoffs. I wouldn't call them a Super Bowl team, but I would definitely see them at least winning one playoff game this year.
I'm I'm definitely looking forward to the Eagles Commanders game on September 25th against Carson Wentz.
That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that game?
It should be a good one. I mean, the Commanders for the better part of the last 2 or 3 seasons have had a very stout defensive line. They do have Terry McLaurin, who's a big weapon in open field. But the Eagles do have Darius Slay. They also do have James Bradbury that can actually take the burden off of Darius Slay's shoulders going forward, which is what you want. The fact that Darius Slay can now shadow the top receiver and have James Bradbury go against the number two receiver, it should pay off big time for the Eagles going forward. To see Carson Wentz facing off against the Eagles is going to be a little weird, but at the same time, it was things happen. It's a business at the end of the day, and Carson wasn't. He was the right quarterback mechanically. He was the right quarterback with his arm, with his play and his intangibles, but he was the wrong quarterback because mentally he just wasn't there. He wasn't mentally strong. He wasn't mentally tough when going against the tides of being a Philadelphia Eagle.
What went through your mind once AJ Brown got traded to the Eagles?
Well, I lost my mind because it's funny. I think a week before that on Flipping the Birds, I I teased Morgan like, hey, what if the Eagles went out and traded for AJ Brown or they traded for DK Metcalf, something like that. And AJ Brown has been probably my favorite receiver from that class. So to see him trade it and then to see the Eagles actually go to an extra length of extending him for another 4 years for $100 million from a franchise that has not paid a wide receiver in quite some time, it's phenomenal because you're going to see the next 4 years of AJ Brown paired with the next 4 or 5 years of Devontae Smith. It's the perfect fitting. Brown is he's a big body wide receiver who can actually break more than enough tackles. We saw how he dragged the Steelers into the end zone last season, and we're gonna see a lot of that this season. I mean, the Eagles needed a wide receiver that could take the defense away from Devontae Smith, away from Zach Pascal, away from Quez Watkins. They tried using Quez as a decoy last year, and it didn't work as much. But so now having AJ Brown there, where you can actually have him run 5 yards out, dump the ball to him, and then actually expect another 6 or 7 yards out of him, it's gonna pay off big time for this offense.
What are your thoughts on Zach Pascal and Kenny Gainwell?
I love Kenny Gainwell. He was my favorite running back out of that class. I was really hoping that he would be drafted by the Eagles, which ironically he was. Gainwell could definitely be a game changer, especially paired with Miles Sanders. As long as the Eagles can keep Miles Sanders healthy, Gainwell will be lethal. I don't think he's the RB1 going into the season. I don't think he's built to be an RB1 this season. But like I said, if Miles Sanders could take the load of the carries and you use Gainwell in the passing game more so often, it's going to be lethal. Think about it, Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines. It's just a lesser version of that, obviously, because Jonathan Taylor is far more superior than Miles Sanders. But you got to think about that in that regard when you're thinking about Nick Sirianni's offense. I think Sanders can really do well if he stays healthy, and I think Kenny Gainwell will benefit greatly if Miles Sanders will stay healthy. And then you mentioned somebody else.
Uh, Zach Pascal.
Zach. So Zach's pretty cool. The great thing about Zach is you're getting somebody that's very familiar with Nick Sirianni. Him and Nick Sirianni have a very deep bond, a very deep relationship, which we learned about on Flipping the Birds, and it's gonna pay off big time because you have he'll be the filter for that wide receiver room. He'll be the filter for Nick Sirianni. So the connection between the wide receivers and Nick Sirianni is gonna be far more greater this time around. So you're gonna see a lot more of an intimate connection between that group and Nick Sirianni, in my opinion.
I'm not sure if you have an answer for this, but how long are Andre Dillard and Jordan Mailata out?
Yeah, so I think they're under concussion protocol, if I'm not mistaken, which is weird because they had that bubble wrapping on their helmets. But from what I understood, from what the guys reported yesterday, is that they're about to find a concussion. Usually, concussion protocol takes you about a week or so. I'm pretty sure there'll be more more careful since it is training camp. So I would expect them probably out for like at least 2 weeks, or maybe even minimum a couple days, but max 2 weeks.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on the first preseason game against the Jets next Friday?
I'm curious to see if we're going to see Jalen Hurts at all this preseason. That's what my first thought is. I want to see Jalen Hurts at least play one drive, at least play a couple downs, just to see how he's looking mechanically, see how he's looking in his offense, see how comfortable he is. We know he's a great leader. We know he's a game changer, but year with an asterisk, year two is something we're expecting a little bit more out of. I know Barrett Brooks reported at the camp yesterday that Jalen Hurts is miles ahead of where he was last season. So that's a very big comfort zone right now for Eagles fans. To hear that, it's huge, especially after the report that came out that's from Derek Gunn and Barry Brooks not too long ago about the lack of progress that the Eagles have seen from Jalen Hurts in practice, which apparently ended up being a false report.
Yeah, my last question is, what are your thoughts on the division?
The division is going to be interesting this year. Again, the four teams in the division have the four easiest schedules in the league. Giants, I don't expect them to make a big leap because it is Dave Ball's first year. I do expect them to make noise because it is Dave Ball's first year. As far as the Commanders, they'll be there. They'll be in the race as they always are. But Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz at this point. Like it's so weird to say that, but Carson Wentz is not the guy that's going to take a team to the promised land. He's not the guy that's going to take the team to the next level just because he lost some of those intangibles after that the Eagles won a Super Bowl, which is the weirdest thing in the world. The Cowboys, they'll always be the favorite just because they're the Cowboys. They're an easier team to market for the NFL. On paper, they look pretty good, but the injury to their wide receiver corps is going to be detrimental, as well as the loss of Amari Cooper. I don't want to say that they'll be a bad team. I just don't think they're going to be the top team in the division. You're going to see spurts where they look really good, but you're going to see spurts where they look really bad. This is going to be the biggest test for Dak Prescott that he's had in his career, in my opinion, because when they traded for Amari Cooper, that's when Dak actually came into his own and started looking like this elite quarterback. Now you have only CeeDee Lamb. You have Michael Gallup that's coming off injury. You have the kid that they signed from the Steelers that's just got injured. I think he fractured his foot, something like that. You have a lot of question marks around you. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, it's his seventh season. Like, is he going to be Ezekiel Elliott of old, or is he going to be the guy that's been digressing for the last couple of years? And on top of that, you have an owner, Jerry Jones, who's standing in the way of this team actually moving forward. So they'll definitely give the Eagles a run for the money, but I expect the Eagles at least carve out at least between 10 to 11 wins this season. Just because it makes too much sense for it not to happen, and usually ironically that's when things don't happen. But as long as Jalen Hurts can stay healthy, as long as this team can stick together, and just ride for each other, this should be a very, very good and fun season.
I'm definitely looking forward to being at the Eagles game next Friday, and getting the chance to see the young talent in person. And thank you so much for taking the time to come on. And I hope to have you back on to recap a game or anything like that.
Absolutely, man. I'm just a DM away. Thank you for being patient. My schedule lately has been a little hectic, but it's a pleasure being on this podcast. And I expect great things out of you, Alex. So keep doing what you're doing. All right.
Okay. Thank you.